Goeiedag, hoe gaan dit? My name is Wildkard. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here and watching my content. I do really appreciate it. Especially because the Rugby World Cup is approaching and this Rugby World Cup warm-up match has left us with the morbid curiosity going into this game of wondering what would it be like having a tank running over a sheep. And the result is exactly what kind of we expected. The sheep was able to run around for a little bit before the tank was eventually able to catch up. And we were left with a nice flat sheet of wool to take home for our celebrations. And also, obviously, everybody has tuned in to see if Siya Kolisi's right leg was going to fall off sometime during the match. And luckily for the entire nation of South Africa, that did not happen. Okay, I was genuinely scared that he was going to get injured instantly going onto the field. So that was really good news for South Africans. Outside of that, this was a game where the Welsh had changed up a huge number of their experienced players going into this match. Maybe Warren Gatland felt like, the game was going to be a loss anyway. Like, they saved some injury, niggling. Most likely because, the players, the Warren Gatland probably just wanted to give newer players more time. And obviously, not risking any injuries to the key players. And and this was really, to be honest, this was, from the Welsh perspective, better than last week. Considering last week was the worst performance I've ever seen in an international test team, the bar was very, very low. And the Welsh team tonight has exceeded that, okay? And that, very low bar, but they managed to clear that. But still, there are still a lot of big issues from the Welsh side. Some of the areas that you would expect that the Welsh to kind of do well, like on the wing. Dyer, I thought he was really outclassed by Canan Moodie. And the kicking game as well, the high ball kicking game was just, I thought it was pretty one-sided for the South Africans. The Cheslin Kobe was able to pretty much dominate, and the Welsh was pretty much just on the receiving end of that as well. The lineouts, obviously last week they had 0 lineouts secured from their own throw. To this week was able to securing most of their own lineouts, giving the fans something to literally applaud when the lineouts were secured by the Welsh team. So that is a massive improvement, I guess you could call that. And there was obviously no experienced playmaker for the Welsh team, and the overall it did look like the Welsh was just out there playing like they are doing in training. There was 2 intercept tries for the Springboks, just very predictable attacks, and you can tell that this is just literally they're running again. The only work they've been doing so far is running into tackling backs. So the intercept is not really a thing to be considered when you run into tackling backs. And resulting 2 intercepts, one by Pieter-Sepp du Toit and then another one by Canan Moodie, and 2 tries for that matter. And it was very obvious that the Welsh were just out there running attack drills in front of tackling backs, and it was did not pay well for them. It was very difficult to watch at times, to be honest with you. For the Springboks, on the other hand, I was expecting more kicking game, to be honest, but there was the kicking game was quite controlled, and I was also expecting more goal kicking, considering that is the big key area that the Springboks needed to improve upon. And the man in the box goal kicking, yes, is consistently still a big issue. Even right in front of the goalpost, if there was a bit of distance on it, he seems to push it a bit too hard and end up with, end up missing the goal. So that should be pretty much 100% for most international test goal kickers. I just missed a couple of those again tonight. And I thought the locking combinations, John Klein, and apparently it's pronounced Snyman. Snyman, he was quite good as well. There was a period, especially last year, before Snyman and Klein was in the team, it really felt like the Springboks only have one lineout option, that is Eben Esbeth. With these 2 guys in the team, it is starting to see that the specialist lock position has a bit more of a width, more of a depth for the Springboks there as well. Villaroo is once again, I felt, the best playmaker on the field tonight. Just the vision, the kicking game, the crossfield kicks are very accurate. The responsiveness from his decision making, the sharpness of his decision making is absolutely spectacular. Once again, Villaroo was just really good setup. He set up Kaden Moody for a try, and he set up the referee for a penalty try, which is quite impressive in its own regards. And finally, there was a big save. Oh, before we talk about the big save, let's talk about the scrummaging. The scrummaging was quite impressive by the Springboks. I kind of expecting that going into this game, and really the veterans Kitsy and Malherbe was just ridiculous in the first half, just destroying the Welsh scrum. Just very technical play by the two props. Both of them was just a tiny bit of angle. They did get pinned for that in the second half. Maybe someone had a word with them, but they were able to really successfully get away with essentially pinching themselves, two props jamming themselves into the middle, and pops out try to pop out the hooker. Malherbe did that quite well in the first half, popped out the hooker a couple of times, and then Kitsov was able to pop out the loose head, the tight head prop a couple of times as well. And really, we're just like every time the scrum, it was just straight up a penalty for the Springboks, was very impressive. Yes. Now let's talk about the big save from Faz to Gaz. Okay, Owen Farrell has saved Damien Willemse from getting 6 months, from getting a 6-week suspension tonight. Because let me get the picture, because there was a head-to-head hit on the field, and ordinarily everybody was expecting. I was expecting this to be a red card. To be honest, I was expecting probably like a 2-3 week suspension. But considering what happened last week with Owen Farrell, this was a very similar situation in some regards. In fact, I felt this was even has more justification than what Owen Farrell had last week, because Marco van Staden was actually making a tackle onto Dyer, which caused Dyer to fall into Damien Willemse, who was in the process of bending down and kind of wasn't getting down low enough, resulting in a head-on-head collision. And I thought that was a mitigating factor. And I waited with bated breath. I think everybody did as well. Whether or not that, it went to the bunker, whether or not that was going to turn into a red card. And I was going to be like, I was like, I'm going to have a furious video after this if that was a red card. And it turned out the referees saw the precedent from Owen Farrell. Obviously, that is considered a mitigating factor now. Another player being involved in tackle. And and resulting in that being just a yellow card. So no red card for the Gaz. The Gaz being saved by the Faz. So that was really, really good. I was really happy to see that was the right decision in the end for Willemse, because it will be, everybody knows I am the biggest fan of the greatest Springbok in the history of the Springboks, Damien Willemse. It'd be very disappointing for me if he's suspended for the entire duration of the warm-up matches. Not warm-up matches, for the pool stage, for half the pool stage. I'll be very disappointed for that. But yeah, it's good to see that he's still good, and so that is good. A little bit of consistency from the referees in that regards. So overall, this is our overwhelming dominance performance by the Springboks. 9 tries to 1. The referees scored 1. Pieter-Steph du Toit scored 1. There was an intercept try, 2 intercept tries, and just every trick in the bag you can think of. The Springboks has done it, except for a more try. Ironically, I don't think there was a single more try by the Springboks. And it was basically everything you kind of expect, except for the one that you expected the most. Interestingly, 603 run meters to the Springboks, to Wales 278. 12 turnovers considered for the Springboks and 13 turnovers against the Welsh. There was a bit of a penalty issues for the Springboks early in the game, something they probably wanted to work on a little bit. There was a lot of ill discipline at the breakdowns, and there was a little bit of I guess, what you might call it, over eager in the lineouts. There was a number of times the Springboks got pinned for either throwing their player across, the jumper across, or like playing the play in the air. So there was a number of penalties considered for that. There was just silly errors that should not have happened. Tackles made 103 for the Springboks, 20 missed tackles. To the Welsh, 132 tackles made and 26 missed tackles. The kicks in play, 18 in for the Welsh, 22 for the Springboks. More typical, more tamed kicking game there. And then the conversions are not just, once again, big nightmares for the Springboks. 2 missed conversions and 2 missed penalties. Both the penalties for a world-class kicker, the second one was a little bit far, 40 meters out from a bit of an angle, but the first one really was pretty much, as easy as you're going to get. Pretty much right in front, bit of a distance on it, 35 meters, 40 meters maybe. And then, missed that one. Should be like 100% from that. I think Lobotka is just really pushing it a bit too much with his long range kicks, and resulting in the accuracy probably falling off a little bit. Lineouts, 14 lineouts for the Welsh, only 1 lost. There was 1 was stolen by, I think it was Clang, which was really impressive. And the Springboks obviously perfect in their lineouts. Scrummaging, 2 scrum lost. Many scrum penalties against the Welsh. So they not only they lost 2 of their scrum feeds, but they've conceded penalties in the South African feed as well consistently, especially in the first half. Penalties conceded 13 against the Welsh. A large chunk of that is actually scrum penalties. For the Springboks, though, a lot of their penalties were in the breakdowns. Very unclean in that regards. And 2 yellow cards for against the Welsh and 1 against Damian Willems. There was obviously a penalty try yellow card. And then there was what happened to the second? What happened to the second yellow card? I can't remember. We'll look at it in a sec when I go through the recap. So, with that being said, I wanted to bring up a picture. Because I've got some screenshots grabbed from the game. I would just wanted to talk about those. Some of the interesting stuff. So some of the interesting moments in the game, I kind of took some screenshots. So obviously the the penalty try here at the beginning. I really felt that this was probably just the yellow card instead of penalty try, because it is illegal to slap the ball out of bound in goal. In fact, what they should have done is check whether or not this is in goal, because if the ball was slapped out of bound when it's not in goal, I don't think it's a penalty, to be honest. I think it's only a penalty if it's a yellow card if you slap it out in goal. Like if you're in general play, I don't think, So that's one thing that that probably should have checked. It didn't. But the other thing is whether or not Kane Moody touched the ball. It did look like he touched the ball, but the referee said that was not clear and obvious. To me, it was pretty clear and obvious because the ball changed the way that it was flying. So it was kind of going like this, and then he kind of changed the angle of the ball, kind of changed a little bit after it went through the hands of Kane Moody, but there was no clear evidence. And Dyer slapping the ball to the out was pretty stupid, I felt like. And it was definitely a yellow card, but I didn't think that was a penalty try because the Kane Moody wasn't able to recover the ball. Like was never in possession of the ball, so or in the position to recover the ball to catch that ball. So I didn't think that should have been a penalty try. It should just be a yellow card. And obviously this is a nice picture here. Boogie Manabi is giving coaching instructions to King Rassie Rasmus. He was telling Rassie, he's giving this hand signal to Rassie, probably telling him that the scrummaging is getting angling on the scrummaging, and Rassie took the advice and told his props to work harder on the angles and getting more penalties. So that was really interesting to see. But good to see that Rassie is on the sideline getting a bit of sun. And then we've got this, obviously the yellow card that could have been in red. I mean, Willems is upright. The tackler, this is Michael van Staden pushing Dyer into Willems. I thought that was the right decision. That is a mitigating factor considering what happened last week to Owen Farrell. So I thought that was the right decision for the referee. Saved Willems from getting match suspension. And let's go through some of the interesting play. Quickly cap the game. 3 minutes into the game, the Springboks gets their first try on the ball. Surprisingly, this was not a more try, so they get a penalty. Springbok sets up a more. The more gets defended. That is, I guess, one thing the Welsh do well. Gets defended. The ball comes out, and then and the ball comes out to the open side. Cheslin goes down to the open side, and then ball comes back to the blind side. And then this is the first time Sia Khaleesi touched the ball this game, and I was wondering if his legs are gonna fall off. Nope, he just really good body position, nice and low, punched himself through 2 defenders. As he's falling down, just textbook stuff, pops over to his support player, Malcolm Marks, on the corner in the wing, goes in for the first try for the Springboks. And and it was just looking super easy for Sia Khaleesi, nice and comfortable. He did look like he might be limping a little bit. I was like, is he limping already? Like, right from the start of the game, he heavily strapped on the right knee, obviously. But yeah, no worries there. Gets the first try on the ball for the Springboks, the first time he touches the ball, which was really impressive. Labok misses the kick, so 0 points. So yeah, the Springboks lead by 5. 7 minutes into the game, Peterson Toy gets penalized for offside, and the Welsh gets a 3-pointer on the ball for them. The game played on a little bit. There was a little bit of dominance from the scrummaging for the Springboks, and then 21 minutes into the game. 16 minutes into the game. One of the scrummaging was like 2 scrum. This was the second scrummaging penalty already. Was right in kind of like in kicking range for Manny Labok. You know, this should have been a easy kick, but he misses this one pretty much right in front. Again, Kitsov was able to pop out the tight head with a bit of a, like, getting himself under him, and then Malherbe was able to pop out the hooker as well by getting under him. So really good work by the Springbok front rowers there. 22 minutes into the game, the Springboks was in the attack. Manny Labok, nice hands to Vili Leroux. Vili Leroux, again, the vision, the accuracy, sees Kenan Moody out wide. Nice over-the-top cut-out pass to Kenan Moody. Kenan Moody cuts in field, steps his opposite number. Dyer goes in for his first try over the night. 21 minutes into the game, the scoreboard ticks up to 12 points to 16. 12 points to 6. 24 minutes in. Before this try was scored, Welsh did get another penalty. I think it was a breakdown penalty somewhere before this. But anyway, Welsh kicked a penalty before this. Let's go on. The Springboks seems to struggle a little bit with the penalties from the kickoff. Once again, they get penalized for obstruction from their own from the kickoff, and then I'm pretty sure, the Welsh immediately gets themselves another 3 points back from that kickoff. The 33 minutes into the game, once again, this is where the penalty try occurred. The Springboks go for the line out. The maul wasn't working. They go center field crash ball. Vili Leroux gets a nice ball and then he just decides to. He was like, the player was going to the right. He just decided to immediately do a switch. Again, just the vision to see the space on the blind side. And then he immediately decided to do a kick over to the blind side. And this caught basically Dyer off guard. Moody goes in. As we saw, Dyer slap the ball dead. Penalty try to the Springboks. 34 minutes into the game, once again there was a nice kicking for Kenan Moody. There was a high ball and Kenan Moody goes in, slap the ball back for the Springboks, and then Springboks find themselves in a lot of open space. DLND runs down the open space, punches the ball down the field. There was very high pressure from Jesse Krill and Cheslin Kobe. The ball carrier catches the ball. The Welsh outside center number 13 gets the ball. He gets tackled in goal. He tries to throw the ball out, so he doesn't get tackled in goal, but the ball goes to Jesse Krill. Says thank you very much. Gets the try on the ball. 24 points to 9 at this point, and 34 minutes into the game. And just before halftime, the Welsh was able to get themselves a little bit of momentum, but it really was very dominant for the Springboks to close out the first half. Second half starts 3 minutes into the second half. The Springboks gets pinned for boring in, something that they were able to get away with a little bit, I felt, in the first half. And then after this scrum penalty, they concede another penalty for throwing the player across, and then another penalty for collapsing the maul from the line out immediately after. So 3 penalties in a row against the Springboks, and then the coaching decided to put on the substitute front rowers to defend this 5-meter line out. And John Klein gets up in the air, steals the ball, immediately diffuses that pressure, which was really impressive by the Springboks to get himself out of that string of penalties. Could be leading into yellow cards if that wasn't stopped. 51 minutes into the game, Wales looking very dangerous, 5 meters from the Springbok line. And again, it just looks like the Welsh was running into tackling backs. They used to run like really not reading the rush defense at all. Peter Septutoy rushes up and then just plucks out of an intercept. You really don't see, slow forwards getting intercepts like that. And he like lumbers down the field, sees Jesse Krill next to him and just goes, "Here you go, mate. You can run the rest of the way. I'll just be here supporting you emotionally." And then the ball goes to Krill. Krill runs down the field. He had a stiff arm Dyer who was trying to catch him from behind. And then, goes in for his second try of the evening. Jesse Krill. He does play winger, so he's quite quick. And Jesse Krill goes in for that. A few minutes later, Peter Septutoy, 58 minutes, gets his try on the ball. After giving away that intercept to Krill. The Springboks kind of starting to realize in the second half that the maul wasn't working for them. So they set up for this line out, this 5-meter line out. They set up for fake maul. The ball pops. They pop the ball back to Dwayne, the Ruck Vermeulen, who crashes down into the 10 channel, and the ball comes out really quick. Peter Septutoy just punches himself through with Achi Snyman pushing him up behind. Goes in for his try. 9 points to 38. 60 minutes into the game, again, another intercept try. It just looks like I was laughing my head off. It just literally looks like the Welsh were running into tackling backs. Like used to run tackling backs. And not used to like the speed of the rush defense, and not used to people actually like contesting, I guess. They just like throwing the ball. And then it was so obvious. Kenan Moody was just like, "Yep, thanks very much." Plucks this one out and then scores another his second try and intercept for the Springboks. 60 minutes into the game, and then 68 minutes into the game, there was a bit of a back call here by the referee. So Kobe, the Springboks had a penalty advantage. I think it was high ball. Kobe goes in, jumps out in the air. Obviously, you get your hands tangled up in the opposition player when you're contesting the ball in the air. He gets penalized for that, having his hands on, touching the opposition player. Essentially, the referee says that he pulled the opposition player down, but really, didn't really look anything at all. But he got penalized for that. Had the advantage reversed. Literally, 2 minutes later, Kobe gets taken out in the air from his legs, and then the referee says that was fine. So I was like, what? Really a bit inconsistent there. And then the on the what do you call it? 67 minutes, 68 minutes. Damien Willemse gets his try on the board. Again, the South Africans was able to get some pressure. They had a more, and then the Peter Septutoy was able to get a pick and go. He got held up again. He got held up this time. And then instead of going for a more or going for another line out, something that you expect from the Springboks just went for a tap. And this was really interesting. They take a quick tap. The player gets tackled, and then they set up a standing maul from the pick and go. Yeah, so you thought the maul wasn't going to happen, but it happens anyway. Obviously, this is a maul. One of the Welsh players sacks the maul. Oh, yeah, this is where the second yellow card came in. The Welsh player sacks the maul. Referee says, no, that is a maul. You can't sack that. And then the ball goes out. The wide, big space open out wide. And Manny Lebok throw a pass that went over three Welsh defenders. You just massive pass over the top. 3 Welsh defenders to Damien Willemse, and Damien Willemse found himself in big space. Goes in for the final try for the Springboks. 9 tries? I thought it was 8. It's actually only 8. 8 tries to 1. So the match stats is actually wrong here. It's actually 8. 8 tries to the Springboks. And final score, 52 points to 16. Let me know your thoughts, guys, on this match. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me watching my stupid content. It really makes me happy. It is always a pleasure and privilege to talk about the greatest sport in the world, rugby. Have a good week. Cheers.